to find me. I'll be in the last place you would look, in a place where people used to be, a land that's called reality. You'll find me there. I won't be catching up on Reddit. I won't be watching any news. I'll let the planet spin without me, 'cause everything has been without me sometime. And everyone will be alright if I'm not live by satellite. It's a beautiful day, I'm running away. Don't bother to Facebook message or call me.
Well, hey everybody, are you ready to rumble? Because it's the Filmbox podcast, and we're doing another fight night.
Our first.
I'm your host,
night.
Aaron Souza. It's I guess technically it is our first fight night, but I mean, if you've looked at our Twitter page and you've seen that we've pre-recorded a couple episodes, you'll know that we've already recorded a fight night that's not out yet. Anyways, I'm your host, Aaron Souza, and I'm joined by two lovely teens. I shouldn't say that. Sorry.
Whoa.
by lovely gentlemen, Sam and Connor.
Hey, Aaron, is that Chris Hansen coming behind you?
Oh no!
Oh boy,
But I only say that because it's the culmination of our teen movie month, guys.
Ooh.
This is it. We've watched a bunch of movies about teenagers, which sounds really terrible when you frame it like that. And now we're going to do a bracket-style competition to see which movie comes out on top.
Yeah. Well, if you can get out of the hole you just dug yourself into.
I'm still digging. Let's dive into the teens.
You're going to get us put on a watch list.
Literally. No, so the way this is going to work is we've got a little bracket with the 8 movies that we watched this month in our teen movie category. We watched 2 movies from the 80s, 2 from the 90s, 2 from the 2000s, and 2 from the 2010s and up. And those movies are as follows. We watched 17 again with Zac Efron. We watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which we did a deep dive review on, featuring Sean Penn. We watched Perks of Being a Wallflower with the great Logan Lerman and Emma Watson. And another man that we don't talk about, but we will talk about. Yep.
I believe Nina Dobrev, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. We watched Mean Girls. It's another fantastic film with Lindsay Lohan. We watched American Pie, which is self-explanatory. We watched 10 Things I Hate About You, The Breakfast Club, and The Spectacular Now. So those are our 8 movies that we're going to be comparing today. But yeah, before we get started, any initial thoughts on this month? And you know what we saw, what kind of like, I don't know, first impressions before we get into this.
I think I fried myself out on teen movies.
Connor literally was trying to watch Do Revenge, which just came out.
Just for fun, too. Not even like... for the past month, we've been watching like all these teen movies, and I was like, okay, let me just watch one for fun, like not taking it serious at all. I turned it off halfway through. I was like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah, I mean, it does for like, it's a long movie, and for the first like
it
half
feels
or
long.
more,
That's the problem.
It is, yeah, it feels like a long movie. But yeah, Sam, any initial thoughts on this month's theme?
Not too much. I never honestly watched a lot of teen movies, when I was younger, growing up, when I was in high school and stuff like that. So most of these was my first time watching them. I think the only one I've seen, the only couple I've seen before is American Pie and Mean Girls, but
which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
seeing as how there are some. What about Breakfast Club? You definitely see Breakfast Club before.
I can't remember. If I did, wow. It was like a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good month of teen movies.
Yeah.
Brings me back to the old high school days.
Literally, some of these like we hit the nail on the head, but we'll get into that. So did you just hear my voice crack? My whole body's going back to the teen era.
Oh boy,
How deep is that hole again, Aaron?
Oh no.
he's past the. He's at the inner core.
Yeah, I've just dug myself straight down through the crust of the earth, and now hitting the mantle, and then we'll reach the outer core soon. Little science lesson for everyone. All right, let's get into this this bracket challenge. So the way that we got this set up, we're gonna shuffle the seating, quote unquote, and a couple times and pit these movies against each other on a random basis. We have not decided this ahead of time.
Yep. So we're gonna go random 1, random 2, and lucky random 3.
All right, so our
Oh.
categories we've got for bracket number 1, we've got 10 Things I Hate About You versus The Breakfast Club. We've got Mean Girls versus Fast Times at Ridgemont High. 17 Again versus American Pie. And The Spectacular Now versus Perks of Being a Wallflower. Wow.
I think that actually worked out perfect.
It worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to.
I think we got some powerhouses pitted up against each other. And then
some
17
not so
again and American
powerhouses.
Pie.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man. So without further ado, let's get into matchup number 1, 10 Things I Hate About You versus Breakfast Club.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right. So, let's start with 10 Things I Hate About You.
Mm-hmm.
Since we have already discussed it. Actually, no. Let's talk about Breakfast Club since we haven't discussed it before. What did you guys like about this movie?
I mean, I've seen this movie a bunch of times. It is a timeless classic by John Hughes. I think the thing that I liked about it the most is that it showed, like, instead of, like, a lot of these movies are, like, all about the cliques, and they show the high school cliques and stuff like that. Like, this movie had that as a sole focus, but changed it in a way that it was like, okay, well, these people would never actually usually talk to each other, but now they're forced to be together.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how it brought together different groups. You know, you had the nerd, you had the jock, you had you know, the bully, bad guy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I like how with most of these movies, it's like it takes place over the course of a school year or
Right.
like an extended period of time, but this one is just isolated to this one day, which I think is also a theme that this movie recognized and utilized. Because there's a great scene like 3/4 of the way in where they're all talking and they're like, if I see you walking like down the hall tomorrow or Monday, like, would you say hi?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
does any of this
yeah,
really
yeah.
matter in the long run? Which I think is a unique concept for like a movie about high schoolers.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was really interesting. I think this film was perfectly cast as well. Like, everyone, there's not a lot of characters, but everyone was just so good.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think they all did a great job with playing their role as
Right.
a high school student, the way they
Right.
are shown to be.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, it was, it's Breakfast Club. It's not, rocket science. Everyone knows that it's a really, really,
It's a
really
it's a
good
staple.
movie. And I think, I don't know, one thing that I like about it, and I tend to like this a lot about a lot of movies, but like, it was so, like, when you look, if someone were to just give you like a 10,000 foot overview of what this plot is about, it would literally be kids in detention talk. And that in itself sounds terrible, but over the course of the movie, you get so much dialogue and so much like character development, and so that's something I enjoy about movies, that sort of like drama of the characters, not necessarily, I'm not like an action like hog, I don't care for scenes of explosions and gunfights as much as like I appreciate just pure raw character development.
Which I think it also the movie also recognizes, because like when they get into detention, the one thing that they're supposed to do is write an 1,000-word essay on who they think they are. And I'm hating myself for not remembering the quote where it's like, so like in the end we're just a brain, a jock, a rich girl.
Yeah, it's but each of us is a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question?
Perfect.
Is the famous quote at the end. And then signed sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club. So I mean, I don't know, it's just like it's a brilliant look at teens and how teens are, and I don't know, I just, something about it is just perfect in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it also dives into some deeper topics about, you know, their personal lives, stuff that you don't think about when you just look at them, which I thought unified them more because they had like some shared life experiences and shared trauma. Do you have any cons for this movie now?
Cons, well,
I think it was a little slow at times.
yeah,
I did find myself, checking my phone, like not really paying attention sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So.
I would say the dialogue is very dated.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at it from a 2022 lens,
for the
for
better,
sure.
in a way of like, okay, this is a microcosm of like 80s high school, but also in the negative and like, all right, a lot of stuff that they said about each other you can't really say now. You probably shouldn't be saying now. Some of their actions you shouldn't be doing. Besides that, though, I
don't have much negative to say about it.
yeah,
Yeah, I also don't either.
yeah, I think kind of dragged a bit, and then just some dialogue doesn't age well. I think that's about it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's go to 10 Things I Hate About You then. Starring Heath Ledger and a very, very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And Julia Stiles, you keep forgetting
Julia
her.
Stiles.
When she is
Look, all right.
the co-lead of this movie.
Look, I mean,
She is on the
you know,
poster.
when you're on a when you're in a film with Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you're gonna get forgotten a little bit.
Yeah, but Gordon-Levitt wasn't that popular by. Was this one of his first big?
This
movies,
was
right?
his and Heath Ledger's breakout film.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the best part of this movie and the thing that gives it an extra bump up is it has the legend David Krumholtz in it.
Yes.
And none of these other movies can say that.
Yes. So, fun fact that you and I, Aaron, learned recently.
Yes, that we just learned that Sam does not know.
Oh, jeez.
What do you think David Krumholtz is doing now? Or within the past couple years? Just guess.
Is he like a farmer?
Oh, no.
No.
What if I told you...
Does he own a strip club?
No. What if I told you that he was a rapper?
Stop. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Do you remember the band's name? Or the group's
It
name?
was oh, I do. I can find it in about 3 seconds.
All right, while you do that, I'll say some pros about this movie. First off,
I got it.
perfect.
It was
Didn't even let me start.
Hemogoblin. Hemogoblin is the group, and he was going under the moniker Been God, Still God. This man's 44. This was in 2020.
It's almost as bad as Jared Leto being in 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh my god. What a absolute just I mean,
Just
he's just the best.
A curveball
Anyways.
from like a different stratosphere.
Oh yeah.
So, some things I liked about 10 Things About You. This movie is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's not taking itself too seriously. And when movies do that, it's kind of a dangerous tightrope you're walking, because sometimes it's like, all right, like, you still are a movie. You still have to, like, move your plot along. Everything can't be, like, a joke. But as we talked about with our deep dive, a lot of these one-liners and situations are just hilarious.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, this film, it's like it knows what it is, and it doesn't try and send like a crazy message like Breakfast Club does, but it tells, I mean, it's a retelling of a Shakespeare play, and it does it in a way that doesn't feel like it's a retelling of Shakespeare play. And I'm looking at you, John Hughes, and Romeo plus Juliet. And it does it in a way that's modern, funny. Like, it just works. It just works. Mm-hmm. And the performances are amazing.
Absolute 10 out of 10 from, like, all the cast. Especially the extras.
Let's see. So I'm trying to think, any cons in this movie that you guys can think of. I'm going to say, like, apart from, like, the actual narrative itself, it almost felt a little forgettable, I guess, if that's, the way I want to put it. The plot was predictable. I mean, we kind of knew what was going on the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like that's the case with all of these.
Well,
most of these.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. But
I think it's just one of those things, like, it's a staple of the genre. Like, at the end of the day, all loose ends are going to get wrapped up.
Yeah.
Everyone will be happy.
It's going to be a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to find some cons here. I think I'm a little biased. As I said with the deep dive, I picked this movie to watch.
Yep.
This was one of the first, like, high school teen movies I've ever watched and remembered liking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
No, I feel like, the thing that it being a little predictable in story, and, like, again, it was based on a Shakespeare play, so that has to play into it. There was, in this movie, like, there was one particular scene that I really did not like. The detention scene where Kat gets Patrick out of detention, I thought was super unnecessary and just not good. But the rest of the movie, the relationships between the people, and I mean, it felt good.
Yeah. I think I think they knew what their character was supposed to be and nailed it. Because, once again, we do see growth. We do see depth. Things are explained. Like, we understand why they are the way that they are. Sam, you got any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I understand about, like, the predictable plot. That's pretty much the only thing I can say about this one. But I don't know that.
All right. Well, I think now it's time to pick a winner for this bracket. And I think we all know what's coming. But Connor, what is your vote?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay, Sam.
I'm actually gonna go Breakfast Club.
And I'm also gonna go Breakfast Club.
All right.
So as much as Connor loves 10 Things, the Breakfast Club is a superior film.
According
yeah.
to 3 people. 2 people.
And what did you guys rate these movies on Letterboxd, just so that people know?
I gave 10 Things I want to say I gave them both 4s out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I should definitely have my list up though.
Yeah, I gave 10 Things a 3 out of 5 and Breakfast Club a 3.5 out of 5.
So I gave 10 Things 3 and Breakfast Club 4.5. So
4.5.
yeah, it's almost in my mind, like 4.5 is like a near perfect film. Like I don't know, for it's an amazing film. So
I don't think it
next
was that
on,
good, but that's fine.
yeah, it was that good. Next on the list, we've got Mean Girls versus Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
All right.
Anyone want
Let's-
to take this?
Let's start with Mean Girls again, since we
All
already
right.
talked about Fast Times in a deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
Pros of this movie:
The acting.
phenomenal.
Yep. It was very charming.
Mm-hmm.
I went into this. I'd never seen this movie. I didn't know what it was about. I always thought it was just like some cheesy chick flick. I was so surprised. Like, the story of this film was like really good, and not in a predictable, like, cheesy kind of way. Like, I felt good about watching this movie.
Yeah, I have some sisters, so like this was a movie I've seen plenty of times. So I grew up like watching this movie. Obviously, it's got very, very iconic line scenes that everyone remembers. Like on Wednesdays we were pink. Stop trying to make fetch shop. Yeah.
Getting losers, we're on shopping. It's October 3rd.
Yeah, I think Lindsay Lohan is like really good in this movie.
Yeah, this was during her like superpower phase.
Yeah. And
Rachel McAdams was awesome too.
yeah,
Yeah, she did a very good job.
Yeah.
honestly everyone does. I like the friend group that Katie has. That's her name, because I remember they always called her Caddy. I don't remember her friends' names, but I do know that the girlfriend is played by Lily Kaplan, who I really like.
Damien and Janice.
Yes.
Yeah, Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie, damn it.
Yeah, you were almost there. And Daniel Franzese.
Yeah, they were really funny as like her support characters.
And so this movie was emotional. It was, it was good. I mean, it was good.
And it had that humorous aspect to it, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good story, finding your place in a new world.
And I like how it wasn't like, it was trying to be relatable to high school, but like not at the same time. Like when Tina Fey's character like pretty much strips in the middle of class and the principal
Yeah,
walks
that was
in.
a little weird. That was a little weird.
Yeah, I also...
But,
Amy Poehler is really, really funny as Rachel McAdams, the mom,
Yeah, as the mom. Yeah.
because she's just trying to be like one of the girls so bad.
Yeah, I do like the scene where they're all like Katie goes over to Regina's place for the first time, and the mom comes in with cocktails, like with mocktails, and is like, "Oh my god, you guys want some drinks?" And she's like, "Do these have alcohol in them?" And he's like, "No, silly. What kind of parent would I be? Do you want some?" It was just so good. The delivery of that line was just so good.
Yeah, I like the scene where I need to remember her name. Who is Rachel McAdams' character? What's her name?
Regina.
Regina George.
George.
Of course.
Regina George.
When Regina's like making out with like the other guy, she just walks in. She's like, "Can I get you kids anything? Some snacks, a condom."
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
And then that scene when the dog's just like munching on her.
Yeah, on her face. Yeah.
No, I think for cons for this movie, like it was a little unbelievable.
Yeah,
At times,
I could believe
like
that,
the whole like when the burn book was discovered, and like it was just this whole thing, and I don't know, it just didn't, that part didn't feel super believable to me.
I mean, Regina George also gets flatlined by a bus.
Yeah, and then
it's
it's
just
like,
fine.
oh, she's fine.
Like, oh, she just has like the neck sling or
I
whatever
think it's like a
called.
spinal fracture or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it's
still.
just spinal fracture, but like you get walloped by a bus like that, you're pretty much gonzo.
Yeah, before I rewatched the movie, since like The Boys had come out, like there was like that trend on TikTok where it was like moments before Impact, like the Imagine Dragons song would play, like da 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 da. And I literally, as I saw that scene was coming up, I loaded up the song. Just so once it was like, da 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 da, I can feel it in my bones. Yeah. It's definitely unbelievable.
All right. And so
I also, sorry.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Once again, I think a lot of stuff in the movie doesn't work once you kind of like look at it from today's lens. A lot of problematic topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just what happens when you take a movie that was made almost 20 years ago now and
Yep.
drop it here. Doesn't get better for the rest of these old movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be expected though.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. So, what? Just to finish this this section off, what did you give Mean Girls on Letterboxd?
I gave Mean Girls a 3.5.
I also gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a 4. So
I think it's just because
Little bit,
I've seen it a bunch of times, so like
yeah, that's fair. Next movie, we got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So this movie, I have to say, I mean, we know what it's about, like right from the get-go, and it is about sex.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. But it's like still charming. It's still really actually a good movie. And it doesn't go overboard in like, you know, the I guess raciness of it. You know, that's sort of like it's not overboard into like the sex and stuff like that. It's just like
wait for that.
yeah, well, no, it was a good film. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I think when I watched it for our episode on it, I think I liked it a lot for a teen movie. Characters were pretty memorable, obviously. We loved Sean Penn's character.
Oh my god, Sean Penn! Out of all these characters, out of this whole movie, Sean Penn has the most iconic character. It's basically like almost a tie between him and John Bender. But
Well, that's just for you. I would say Lindsay Lohan is also pretty iconic as.
yeah, but like I don't know. I think something about Sean Penn's Spicoli is just so good.
Sam, what did you think about this? Because I feel like me and Aaron got a lot of thoughts out on an episode
Yeah, when
already.
we did our review.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say is I'm not going to look at carrots the same way.
Very fair.
No, but I enjoyed this movie. I actually watched it last night. It was the last movie I needed to watch before, this
Ended off on a good note.
Yeah. But no, I enjoyed it. It's kind of fresh in my mind. I agree with Connor what you said about, or Aaron, I think you said that. It didn't dive too much into the raunchiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the acting was great. It did seem a little, I don't know, fast. I don't know if fast paced is the word.
Well, it is called Fast Times.
Well, yeah, but
No, I get that. It does kind of move quickly.
Yeah, I will say something I didn't like about this movie is I don't think there's a plot at all.
that is true. Yeah,
I think you're literally just plopped in the middle of like a high school year.
I think that's also the point, though. Like, they designed this movie. I'm pretty sure, like, they actually made this movie to not be like, okay, well, here's like a coherent, like, or not like, I want to say coherent story, but like, here's like a storyline. It's more so like you just said, if you were plopped into this high school and these people's lives, like, this is what you're seeing. And for something like that, it pulls it off well. But I can agree that like, it doesn't have like a normal plot structure.
Yeah.
there's like 3 plots in one. Like, have Spicoli dealing with Mr. Hand, and then you have Stacy sleeping around every single guy she talks to, and
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I think the one issue I did have with this movie, and that's more of like from looking at it from a modern day lens, is like the only 2 main female characters in this film both get naked. And it's like, okay. All right, guys. I mean, come on. There's literally like 2 women in this whole movie that mean anything.
Yeah, and I will say, maybe it's just a byproduct of watching it first. There's not a whole lot that I would consider super memorable after watching the rest of these movies. Like, with each of these movies, there's always like something I can stand on and be like, okay, this is why like it was a good watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, Sean Penn Spicoli was great, but that's about it for what I can remember.
Every scene in Mr. Hand's classroom, though, was just an instant classic.
I mean, I just remember the one exchange, and that's about it.
I mean, I don't know. This movie was fun, though. I very much enjoyed it, and for what it was, it did it well and actually delivered like a pretty heartwarming story towards the end.
Yeah. All right.
yeah, and it's a good thing to like look at, what high school was like in the 80s,
And the fact that it's still relatable. Like,
yeah.
There were times, I think, Connor, you were saying when you were watching it, like, and we talked about it in our review, like, there were times where we were watching this film and, like, stuff was happening that felt super awkward in the moment. And it was like, okay, this is awkward for us because we know how that feels because we went through it. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the fact that this movie was literally made 40 years ago and it still has that impact 40 years later is actually really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just like a me thing. It's like, yeah, I felt a lot of those things, but then like watching the rest of these movies, like, okay, they also made me feel these things. So it's not like a special thing anymore. I think it would be something if I didn't still feel that relatability to it. Which, good thing for Fast Times, I still do. All right, gentlemen. What is our vote?
What is your votes? I'm going to vote in a surprise vote. I'm voting for Mean Girls.
Okay, good. I was also voting Mean Girls.
I was also going to vote for Mean Girls.
Wow. I'm actually kind of surprised that it took
What did we give Fast Times on Letterboxd?
I also gave it a 4. So
I gave it a
3.
I gave it
a 3.5.
Oh, I gave it a 3.
All right.
Damn. All right. Next bracket, we've got 17 again versus American Pie.
So
17 again.
Hand up. This was my movie.
Yeah, you did pick this.
I did stand on the table for this movie. this was a guilty pleasure movie of mine, like a comfort viewing back, like, I don't know, a couple years ago. I hadn't seen it since, and I was like, oh, let's toss this on the list. Let's see what kind of memories it brings back.
Well,
And
I mean, it brought back
memories did come back.
it brought back memories.
Yeah, so we're now into the section where we haven't talked about any of these movies before.
Right. So this
these
is
are
like
all new thoughts.
full impressions. 17 again was a very average movie. It was nothing more.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I thought it has a very unique premise. Mm-hmm. We talked about, like, Mean Girls was at Lindsay Lohan's peak. I would say that this is Zac Efron's peak.
Hey, no, this was Matthew Perry's peak.
He peaked during Friends.
This is not Friends. It was 17
No,
again.
not Friends. It was 17 again. The movie where he was in it for the very beginning and then the very end.
The very last scene.
I can't get the vision out of my head of him in that basketball uniform.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It was a decision.
So I just want to point out real quick, this movie on Google has a 4.4 out of 5.
You guys,
Really?
you guys found my bot
Out of
accounts?
368 ratings.
What's it on Rotten Tomatoes?
56. Like I said, it's a very average movie.
Yeah, it looks like on Letterboxd it's around a 2.8 out of 5.
Yeah.
So
Well,
average.
Google likes to Google.
So, what did we like?
Like you said, I thought the premise was cool.
Compared to
The
the
idea
rest of
of
these, it's
having-
very different, which I will always
Right. It was
appreciate.
probably the most unique premise, which I thought was good. It differentiated itself. Some of the acting was a little out there, but at the same time, it was good. It was funny. There were some actually funny moments.
I love Ned's house.
Oh yeah, I knew you guys would love it. He's, to put it politely,
Yeah,
he's like
he's-
a huge nerd,
A bit of a nerd.
but he's got the cool nerd stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
So, what I liked about it,
Okay. Is Leslie Mann.
yes,
Shush. Yeah.
yes,
I've answered it for you there. That's why it was your comfort movie for so long.
little did younger Connor know. She's looking fine as ever. She's doing great. Yeah, I as I said, I like the plot is different. I thought Zac Efron was pretty good in this role. I liked that when you're in the high school setting, it's like a weird thing where it's like, okay, Zac Efron is actually like these two people,
Like a 40-year-old.
Yeah, he's like these two people's like dad, so he's like looking out for them instead of like, flirting around, being an asshole.
I just kept like it was very awkward at times, but that was the point. But I also found myself like just saying to myself like, or at the movie, like, dude, just like act like a 17-year-old.
Yeah, that was the thing too.
Like, come on.
He was Zac Efron, but he was acting like he was still a dad. I will say though, he does have, like, it was a one speech towards the end, because the whole premise is like his wife is divorcing him. He regrets a lot of decisions. He ends up through magic going back to high school, and then his wife is still divorcing him. So like at the hearing, he gives off like this heartfelt speech about how, like, he's made a lot of mistakes, and if, like, he still loves her and he has to just let her do what she thinks is best. And then it's revealed that there was nothing on the paper he was reading from.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was
When I first watched it, it got me to tear up a bit. Not gonna lie. since then I've hardened up a bit. But it still got me.
That was a good scene.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Couple things. How did nobody know that? So the basketball coach, he does not know what his best.
Oh my God.
His best basketball player in 30 or 20 years. He doesn't know. Like this, it looks exactly the same. Like, come on.
Like the picture is just hanging up in the school, and no one's like,
Yeah.
huh, that looks like this guy, just with a
He
haircut.
was talking about. Yeah, he was talking about what is it, like a teacher or something like that. He's like, "Oh, that's me in that picture." She's like, "Honey, that's 20 years ago," or something like that.
Yeah, and I like they did allude to it with like with Leslie Mann's character being like, "Wow, you look so much like my husband." But like if it was like you 20 years ago, you wouldn't be like, "Oh my God." You'd be like, "Dude, like that is exactly how you look." Like you would be so much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they played it off as like, oh, she's a little drunk, you know, but it's never brought up again.
Yeah, right. I will say this movie gets a point for having Jim Gaffigan in it because he is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the fact that the coach didn't recognize him, I was asking the same question. Like, does he just doesn't care? It just is like, okay.
Yeah. I feel like we mixed in some cons. So why don't we move on to American Pie?
Yeah. Oh, what did you guys give 17
yeah,
again
sorry.
on Letterboxd?
I gave it a 2.5, so 50%.
I also gave it a 2.5.
I gave it 5. I'm kidding.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
kidding. I gave
No
it
way.
3.5.
3.5.
3.5, but
that's somehow
a 5
more
for
absurd.
Leslie. A 5 for Leslie.
She's a 5 out of 5.
3 out of probably 3.5 out of 10 is better. Anyways, American Pie.
So everything we said about how like Fast Times, they like, you know, held back with like the more racy things. No.
That is the core of this movie.
We are introduced to his name Jason Biggs, right?
I couldn't tell you a single
Jason
movie.
Biggs.
I'm sorry.
Jason Biggs. We are introduced to him jerking off into a sock.
Yeah.
To a TV that doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could not make out what he was watching. I will say, what's it, Eugene Levy? Delightful as always.
Great.
Phenomenal.
Jennifer Coolidge in her very small role was very good.
Man.
It was.
I will say, like,
God.
while we're talking about the good, the cast was really good. I really liked them as their characters. I know I said this to you, but like, okay, I didn't really like this movie that much, but the one storyline that I really liked was Chris Klein's character. His name is Oz.
Yep.
And his whole thing is like, oh, he was with a college chick before, but she was like, you know, girls want like a more sensitive, understanding guy. Like, you don't have to try to like impress us with like brute strength or just being cool.
Right.
So then he ends up like joining the chorus, and he develops like a genuinely cute relationship with what's her name? Heather, played by Mina Suvari. And that was like the one thing I was like, I really like this. I did not expect this from a movie where a guy fucks an apple pie.
Yeah. That I was wondering when we'd get to that part. Yep.
Yeah. Jason Biggs fucks a pie.
Yeah. It's in the movie. Someone looked at it, and not only is it in the movie, but that's where they got the name American Pie. So they got the name for this movie from that scene of a man with his his shit in a pie.
Oh, it wasn't a shit. It was a schlong.
Oh no, it was. It was
his schlong.
yeah.
But once again,
and premature ejaculating twice.
Hilarious.
and getting jizz in a beer.
That wasn't him. That wasn't him.
That was
No, he didn't do that, but that was in this movie.
Fair. That was Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this movie is very horny. The whole plot is like this group of friends just wants to have sex before the end of the year.
And they make a pact. And then, so I will say, I did not like this movie. It took me 3 tries to get through it. The thing that saved this movie is the third act and a couple of the relationships, like Eugene Levy and Jim. Mm-hmm. Like the dynamic between father and son was good. Mm-hmm. And then Oz and Heather, their relationship was also really good. Other than that, could care less.
Yeah, because I respect to like Jim and Kevin, the characters, but their whole thing was like, okay, Jim just wants to have sex, and Kevin just wants to have sex with his girlfriend, but he's kind of like a dick about it. And then once he's finally not a dick, his girlfriend's kind of like over it and over him.
Yep.
We didn't watch any of the sequels, so I don't know what happens. I probably won't watch the sequels. But yeah, I like those relationships between father, son, Oz, and Heather.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the scene with Shannon Elizabeth, who plays Nadia, when she is like changing in his room, and
that's an iconic scene.
He just books it.
Yeah, he's just
that was a good one. Yeah.
That was really funny. Everyone is just watching this live stream of this foreign girl changing, and he runs to his friend's house, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
I can't believe this is happening in my room." And I'm sitting there like, "Dude, go over there!"
And then he runs back.
Yeah. Like, bro.
Yeah. Some of the raunch didn't work for me. Some of it did.
Also, Casey Affleck was in this movie for all of 3 seconds.
Yeah, he was not good, if I can be honest. In his 3 seconds, I don't think he cared.
No.
I literally think they paid him whatever he was having at that diner.
Probably.
They're just like, we'll pick up your bill. Just answer the phone for us, please.
All right. So I gave this movie on Letterboxd a 2.5. No, a 3-star.
Really?
Yeah, it was a 2.5 until the last act. It bumped it up half a star.
I also gave it a 3-star.
So did I. We did not coordinate that.
We did not. All right. So who is our winner of this side of the bracket?
I liked American Pie better.
Aaron?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with American Pie.
Well, all right. I was going to go 17 again.
Connor is voting 17 again, but no.
R.I.P. Leslie, man.
The third act really saved American Pie.
We'll see you another day, I guess. All right. Last matchup of the first round.
This is a good one.
Fantastic.
It is the best one. So we got the Spectacular Now versus Perks of Being a Wallflower.
I think the only instance where the decade went up against each other.
Yes. Now, Spectacular Now.
Miles
Teller and Shailene Woodley.
This movie is so good. I really wish this wasn't the first round matchup, because this would have been my finals bracket. If I could be honest. Really.
Wow.
So Spectacular Now, we've got Miles Teller,
Shailene Woodley, Brie Larson. Jennifer Jason Leigh, who was also in Fast Times, is also in this movie.
The mom.
Yep. It's a really good. This movie, I think the thing I appreciate the most out of this movie is like it is emotional in all the right spots.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny, and then it's happy, and then it hits you in the heart, and then it's happy again, and then it's a little sad, and then it's like gunshot, and then it just takes you through every emotion, and it does it in such a perfect way that it feels balanced. And
I think I feel like it's such the best way I can say this is the theme of the movie is, I think, the strongest, where it's like, all right, we have Miles Teller, whose character is just like he's like a high schooler who's got like no plans for the future, like he's just living in the now. And things start to not go his way for once, and then he actually like has to realize he can't live like that. He has to mature and be a better person. And a lot of like the character beats really hit home for me.
oh yeah,
Miles Teller is such a good like emotional actor.
I don't know how he's not a bigger star than he is, honestly.
Like, I know the rumors are he's not like a great person behind the scenes, but
I don't care.
Hollywood doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
He is so good in this movie.
I think
And Shailene Woodley holds her own too.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Shailene Woodley. Like her character Amy was she played that very well.
Yeah.
She's such a supportive character.
She's so innocent.
Sutter, or Miles Teller's character, Sutter.
Yeah, Sutter.
She was there. When he went to go see his dad.
Dude.
He was like, "Hey, can we do something?" She'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely."
The dad scenes, those.
Oh, that's honestly one of the best. That was one of the best, honestly, scenes I've.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much.
One more emotional. But.
Yeah, definitely one that really gets you as like, oh, this is a real moment.
Yeah, and to be fair, and to what you said, like it was very real. Like this movie, like it didn't feel like
exaggerated,
there weren't forced scenes. There weren't like a dialogue wasn't like cheesy. Like it was real down to everything that the characters said.
I feel like this era we kind of grew out of like, okay, like everyone's quipping and everyone's like trying to joke around. Maybe it's just the two movies we picked that were a more serious look at like a high schooler's life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this movie just gets down to it.
Yep. This is I also want to point out Roger Ebert. This was one of the last films that he reviewed during his life and gave it a full 4 stars, which is his highest rating.
And me and him both, because I also gave this 4 stars.
I also give this a 4-star.
This is a 4.5 for me. 4.5. It is a near perfect film.
Is there anything you guys didn't like about this movie?
No.
Yeah. Me neither.
Honestly, I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? No, I do have one thing. I hated the very end because I wanted to see just that little bit more. And I hated how it cut like that. It just broke me.
Because actually, if you notice in the end, do we want to? I don't know.
I mean, we can say we're not going to review it.
Yeah.
This movie came out in like 10 years ago.
2013.
So if you haven't seen it, go see it.
So when he goes to visit her, you don't know if she's smiling or upset to see him or something. Like she doesn't have a smile on her face. Like you could tell, like there may be a little smirk, but.
Yeah,
we don't know what she's been doing for the past, however long. So, It's just
I
like
really like this ending because I like that there wasn't that like peaceful resolution. Like
right.
yeah,
It was very real.
like yeah, Sutter did kind of realize like, oh man, I messed up, and
she's gonna be better off without me, kind of thing.
yeah, it's one of those messages where it's like, all right, just because you figured out what you were doing wrong doesn't mean that everyone just like waits around you for you to realize that. Like everyone moves on with their life, and that's one of those like hard things to accept. Like you know, we've all kind of been through relationships where it's like, oh man, like I wish I did this better, and like if I had done this better maybe things would have gone different. But it's like, while you think that, life still goes on, and everyone has their own reactions to that, and they move on how they move on. Man, I really wish this wasn't the first round matchup.
I know. This is
upset.
tough. All right, and last but not least, certainly not least, perks of being a wallflower.
This movie broke me.
I had never seen this film before.
Me neither.
Like in its entirety. And so when we chose it, I was looking forward to it because like I wanted to see it, and I knew it had actors that I enjoyed in it, and you know, so and I had started watching it before, so I knew like at least the beginning I liked, and holy Jesus Christ, this movie.
Yeah, similar to Spectacular Now, this is not a comedy like the others.
Nope.
Far from it. So, one thing I really liked about this movie, I thought they handled like depicting like the depression, the mental illnesses. I thought they handled that well.
Yeah. Yes, it was very intelligent in the way that they dealt with it.
And with that, I love how supportive Logan Lerman, he's the star of the movie. He plays Charlie.
Yep.
I love how supportive his family is of him.
Yep.
Because he's like a very introverted character. I'm not going to spoil anything because I think, you should watch this movie, but like I told you guys, you have to be in a good state of mind to watch it.
Oh my God. I should have taken your words more seriously. I also want to point out, or sorry, you weren't done. Never mind.
It's okay. But like, his family is so supportive when he needs it the most. And even when, because there's like a scene in the end where it was so devastating. I cried. I don't cry during movies. I cried. And just seeing like how much his family cared about him, like it also contributed to all the tears.
Yeah, I also don't really cry in movies, and the end of this movie, I wept, like straight up, like tears streaming down my face, and I was like, "What the fuck? Why is this happening to me?"
Yeah,
God, why? Oh my God, like I said, I think I can count on one hand the amount of movies that I've actually like shed tears to. And this one just absolutely just made me just a waterfall, man. And I also like how well they handled a gay character in this movie.
Yes,
this is probably the only one where it's like just candidly like, yeah, this guy's gay, and that's not like we're not like in Mean Girls, the gay character is there, but he's
like a stereotype,
exaggerated. Right, a little bit. But that's also part of the comedy. This movie is like, this guy's gay, and also like that's a normal thing. His friends don't care. But he still, and then it shows the trials and tribulations of what it was like to be a gay guy who,
because this takes place in like the 90s, so
right, who maybe wasn't as accepted by
society,
the elders, or by society. That's tough in itself.
Like I think they handled everything very realistic. Yeah, I know he's a shitty guy, but man, Ezra Miller.
All right, look. The way that I think about this was before he was shitty. This was like very young Ezra Miller before he was bad.
Yeah. Separate the art from the artist. He was good here. One of his best roles, I would say.
Yep.
Same with Emma Watson.
And Emma Watson was fantastic. Her character was so nuanced. I mean, and Logan Lerman just
Crushed.
perfectly captured the depressed, the shy
The
kid,
introverted.
you know, right, who, you know, finds his group of friends and then that's his whole world. But not in like a obsessed, creepy way, but in like a, you know, this is what makes me happy kind of way. And like, oh my God, just this movie.
Yeah. This one, I feel like there were a lot of moments I related to in a more real sense. Because, like, I'm an introverted guy. For a period of time in high school, like, I was kind of on my own, and I could see myself in him when he's, like, sitting alone at lunch. He's like,
Yep.
he's like, he doesn't want to raise his hand. When Paul Rudd, who is the English teacher, who is phenomenal in the
Yeah, Paul Rudd's in this movie. I mean, come on.
in like the very few scenes he's in, it's like, I mean, back to Logan Lerman, but like he doesn't want to raise his hand because he just doesn't want the attention. Like, especially the scene where they're at the high school football game, and like it's when he first goes to like interact with Emma Watson and Ezra Miller, and you can see him like work up the courage to do that. I just found that so relatable in a real way, where it wasn't just like, oh, come on, man. It was like, oh, like I've been there. I understand this.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Ugh, God, this movie. All right, we need to give a winner here. Oh, what did everyone rate this movie?
I gave it a 3.5.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I gave it 5 stars.
I also gave it 5 stars. Sam, you didn't like it as much as we did.
I mean, it was a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. I don't know. I guess it wasn't emotional as to me as it was to you guys, which
That's fair.
I mean, teach their own.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing about,
That's why we do
that's
this.
the thing about movies. Like, we can all watch a movie and come out feeling different and have different emotions towards it.
Absolutely. This movie is in my top 5 all-time favorite movies now. So
This is also the movie why, like, this was one of the last movies I saw for this, and it made a bunch of these other ones very forgettable for me. So if I haven't made this clear, as hard as it was, Perks is my pick to move forward.
Yep, same.
all right, sounds good.
Sam's like, yeah, I'm outnumbered.
Oh, well.
All right, so now we get into the second round, and this will be a little bit quicker of a round because we've gone in depth in some of these movies. So now we'll kind of just talk about how they relate to each other a little bit.
What makes
so
them stand out from each other.
Right. So we've got The Breakfast Club versus Mean Girls.
Okay. What stands about...
So Breakfast Club, the characters in Breakfast Club are like and like the character dynamics. I feel like they're good in both movies, but Breakfast Club, like that's what it's about, and they nail it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the characters have been more nuanced because, like, the movie requires them to be. Like, Mean Girls, like, it's a comedy. Everyone's kind of like a stereotype. You don't really see a whole lot of growth.
Yep.
But the movie didn't need them to. It's not a knock on Mean Girls, but I would say it is a plus for Breakfast Club.
Now let's Sam. Any thoughts there, or any thoughts
No,
for
I
Breakfast
enjoyed.
Club?
I think the actors or the characters, I should say. I don't know, because Mean Girls, I know a lot of like that's more related to like all the high school, people that I high school with, they would always know what Mean Girls is. Like, I don't think many people know or have seen Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Breakfast Club is like a movie where its reputation precedes itself.
Yeah.
Where like you probably know.
You know John Bender for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you know John Bender without knowing John Bender.
Exactly. Which is exactly how it goes in the movie too, actually, if you think about it.
Exactly. I feel like Mean Girls, it's iconic in its own way, where it's like you can quote a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the dynamic is good. It doesn't take itself as seriously as Breakfast Club, but
Not
like
even close.
that dynamic of all the characters and the premise is actually like really entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other final notes here, or are we ready for vote?
I think I'm ready for my vote.
Okay, Sam, are you ready for your vote?
I am.
All right. Sam, what is your vote?
I'm going Breakfast Club.
Connor, what is your vote?
I'm going Breakfast Club.
Wow, really? I was actually leaning towards Mean Girls. I'm not going to lie.
What?
But,
Really?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I actually was leaning towards Mean Girls. But Breakfast Club is the winner.
Boy, this is...
Wow. We got our round 2 matchup, American Pie versus Perks of Being a Wallflower. So American Pie wins.
So...
Right?
I feel like just... we'll pay its respects as we cast it off to sea. It's a very iconic movie.
Mm-hmm.
People... It's just iconic. Like, you've probably seen it. You probably know the characters. You probably know scenes from it.
Yep.
But man, it's I personally don't think it's
It pales in comparison.
yeah. Sam,
Any thoughts? Yeah.
you want to toss
you guys
it a
pretty
life
much summed it
rafts
up.
or a buoy?
Yeah. Taz, you gonna give American Pie anything? Or
I mean, I think it's obviously there's just two completely different tones of these movies,
Yeah, I'll give it that.
It's really hard to compare, because it's just like, if you like horny, raunchy movies, then you're gonna like American Pie more. If you're gonna like the more serious, emotional,
if you want to cry, watch Perks.
Watch Perks. So I feel like, for me, I enjoyed Perks better than American Pie, and so.
Yeah, I will say that it knows what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything more.
Yep. But the winner of this round is, unsurprisingly, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yes. All
right, our final matchup is The Breakfast Club versus Perks. And it's tough, because these are both very nuanced, very, character-driven films.
Mm-hmm. I think this is an easier comparison to make because of the tones are very similar. I think the Breakfast Club can get funnier at times, but for the most part, they're both serious character study type movies.
Yeah. I think because they're so similar, we can look at one of the things that I feel like is successful for Perks that it has an edge over is it was able to carry that character driven narrative over a longer stretch of time, in movie time. It was over the course of a whole year almost, versus Breakfast Club being that this is one snippet of the of a day, basically. It's detention.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was harder to pull off for The Breakfast Club. It's hard to make a movie that's good that's just based within a day. But Perks being so successful in the long run of a film, makes it stand out to me.
Yeah, I think with Breakfast Club, since it is like a course of the day, it's not so much like with the characters. I wouldn't say we're not as much seeing them grow, but we are just seeing them deepening their character instead.
Yeah.
Whereas with Perks, I think we do see more growth, just because
There's growth
over
and
time.
change and.
I would say another edge up for Perk is the emotional reaction I had to it. Like, respect to the Breakfast Club, but no scenes made me feel anything close to that. It's not the last scene, but that scene.
Yep.
I didn't feel anything close to that. Even like the smaller scenes, like I was saying with the football scene, I felt that when I'm trying to set the scene. It's like his sister is dating Ponytail Derek.
Yeah.
Ponytail Derek.
Yeah. And I think they get into a fight. He sees her like hit him.
Other way around there.
He hits her. Sorry.
Yep.
And like he asks like Paul Rudd, his English teacher, like why do people fall for like why do people love the wrong people? And credits to Paul Rudd for like being as good as of an emotional dramatic actor than just being like a comedian. Because like the line that stuck with me throughout like all these movies was like when he says, "We accept the love that we perceive." I believe it is. I think I butchered that.
We accept the love we think we deserve.
That's it. We accept the love we think we deserve. That sticks.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's just it hits you right in the gut.
Sam, you got
any final thoughts here?
I gave both of these movies a 3.5. So, no, but I think I The Breakfast Club. It shows all the characters, not come from the same background, but come from similar backgrounds, with their parents, stuff like that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, in Perks, it's kind of the same thing almost.
Yeah, I think the Breakfast Club was very good at being like, we're not all that different as like we think we are. The whole like
no matter
the whole like don't judge a book by its cover type beat.
Yeah.
I just like the scene of Emilio Estevez high off his ass and just dancing around the
it has like its own batch of like iconic moments, like the scene where they're all just running in the hallway like trying to dodge the teacher. Well, just since we're about to wrap up too, I also found it really funny how in the end of Breakfast Club, like, everyone's saying their goodbyes, like, and they're just like kissing each other, and their parents are just like waiting in their car, like,
I was thinking that same thing too.
What's going on?
It's like, what? You just met these
exactly, like, I thought you were strangers, and now Emilio Estevez is kissing like the basket case, and and like the preppy girl is like kissing John Bender. It's like,
which I'm sure that dad is very happy about, by the way.
Exactly. Like, I just imagine like they close the door and then the dad just like turn the car off. Like, what was that?
It's like,
hey, you want to stop at Mickey D's on the way home?
Yeah, knowing that character, he was probably like, "Do you want to go? What can I get you that will make you love me again?" All
right. Final vote.
I'm going Breakfast Club.
All right. Connor?
I'm going Perks.
Yeah, I'm also going Perks.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
We knew that was coming. But, I mean, yeah, it's just... it's too good. The winner of our teen movie month, not teen month. Don't want to say
Just
that.
keep digging that hole.
My hole is getting bigger.
We're almost on the other side.
Nope, don't want to say that either. I don't want to say that either.
Oh, I got hiccups now.
I'm just gonna say the winner of the Teen Movie Month Bracket Challenge is Perks of Being a Wallflower. The official winner. This is official. Will be posted everywhere. Official winner. Take that to Wikipedia.
I think you need to stop talking for the night.
Oh
snap! Something wrong.
Oh snap! No, so yeah, thank you very much for listening. We had a lot of fun with this one, and yeah, if you like what you hear, let us know. Give us a rating, a review, all that kind of stuff. It really helps us out. And tell your friends. Tell people about our podcast. Any sort of thing works. We love doing it. We like entertaining people, so we hope that you enjoy it. You can follow us on all our socials. They'll be linked in the show notes below. And also, we have a merch store that you can visit. We've got our Letterboxd pages. Those will be linked. You can see, how we feel about other movies that we see throughout the month. I also want to thank Josh Woodward for our theme music. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. This has been the Teen Movie Month Fight Night for the Filmbox Podcast. And my name is Aaron Souza.
I'm Connor.
I'm Sam.
And we'll see you next
From
time.
Aaron's jail cell. Goodbye.
Yep.
Bother the Facebook message or call me, 'cause I'm living life in airplane mode and everything is okay. I just want to play, unplug for the day and live in the moment, 'cause I'm living life in airplane mode, yeah.
Today's a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or just think it'd be fun to have your own talk show, podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest way and the best way to launch, promote, and track your podcasts. Your shows can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and even more within minutes of finishing your recording. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Let's create something great together.
Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you, as well as getting you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and it helps support our show.
We use Buzzsprout, and honestly, it's really great. I use it to track all of our where we're being listed. We get our own website. It's really just a fantastic service, and I would recommend it to anyone that's interested in starting a podcast.
Buzzsprout helps you get your show listed on every major podcast platform. That takes one of the hardest steps in creating a podcast out of the equation for you, thanks to Buzzsprout's help.
And if you want to upgrade, Buzzsprout has tons of guides to help you find the right equipment at the right price. Plus, it helps you navigate how to do things, how to market your show, how to make money off your show, how to do all sorts of stuff. It's all right there for you to use. Honestly, it's not hard when you have the right partners, and Buzzsprout is absolutely one of the best partners you can have out there.
They care about you. They're passionate about helping you succeed with your show.
So if you're interested in signing up for Buzzsprout, use the link in the description of the show here. Like we said, it'll get you $20 Amazon gift card. And it supports us, and we appreciate it greatly. And now, back to the show.
Ooh.